And welcome back to Luminary Leaders Live. My name is Shelley Harrison, and I'm your host for this show. We're on a little bit early today. We have a guest that I can't wait for you to meet, especially those people that have a book in them that are looking to, write a book. So with that, today our show is with Stanley Dankoski, and I'm going to introduce him in just a moment. I just want to let everybody know, I know it's hot out there, and we're all trying to stay cool. So hopefully you're doing well and staying, cool as you can. But anyway, we appreciate that you're here. And Stanley, I want to welcome you to Luminary Leaders Live. How are you today?
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, well, we're happy to have you here. I know that you and I met through LinkedIn, probably, my gosh, maybe 5 or 6 months ago, and we had a one-on-one on Zoom, and I just really enjoyed the conversation and just what we were talking about. And can you tell our audience, number one, where you are in the U.S. and just a little bit about yourself, so our audience knows who you are?
Yeah, definitely. I'm in Asheville, North Carolina. I'm originally from New England, so all over New England. Let's see, Rhode Island, Maine, New Hampshire, and then Boston area before I moved down here. I loved New England, but ever since I moved down to Asheville, there's just like something about this place that is really like the energy, the vibe is so eclectic, and it just calls to me. So I love being down here.
I bet. And I think when we first met, I was so intrigued because you're a book coach, ghostwriter, and an editor. And as far as you have classes, workshops, you work with people independently. What is the one thing that you are most comfortable with when it comes to writing a book?
That's a really great question. So that, I would say, is finding the true essence of what the writer wants to convey in the book. That, especially when I am coaching someone, it's a process in which a lot of authors want to, they know they need to write a book, especially a business person, a coach, a speaker, founder. They see other people do it and they think, okay, I know I need to write a book. So they have an idea and they run with it. But what they don't realize is that their message is much deeper than what they expect. It's really a great process for me to like dig deeper and find what their essence is and capturing that on the page.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, because recently, and we kind of talked about it backstage, I had read a book because I had someone recommend The Miracle Morning, and it's by Hal Elrod. So Hal Elrod, we're giving you a shout out. But it's a movement, and it's a fantastic book that talks about, personal development and getting up in the morning, not jumping up out of bed, but really just being intentional about your personal development, which could include reading, meditation, so I have my whole Miracle Morning mapped out. And Stanley, and I'm not going to say what age I am. However, I have never read a book from cover to cover in my entire life. When I read The Miracle Morning, I started it, and probably I'm 3 months in now. I have read 5 books cover to cover. And the one thing that I've realized is, and they're, some of them are really, like I read a book with Ariana Huffington. I read a book, from a couple of books from my clients. So what I realized and what you're saying is the essence. What is it in the essence? What differentiates that book, and that thing that really, really makes that book come alive? Like, wow, I am so excited to read this book. Right?
Right. And there's so many writing books out there that have been published for years, and there will continue to be, because I think that we're getting to the heart of it. Each person has their own unique, the lingo is the unique selling proposition. What makes you in the world? And teachers are the same way. Writing teachers and other teachers, other people who are coaching. There are tons of life coaches, tons of business coaches. How do you differentiate yourself among the pack, right? So you have your own unique way of doing that. So there's that book. There's Stephen King's memoir. Everyone loves that book, even though you may not be like a horror reader, but like he writes to the heart of like what it is to be a person who wants to express himself or herself themselves, right? So like you know, likewise, when I coach someone, I have my own name to it. It's a program that I call the Grounded Writer, and it's something that, you know, I've seen so many people in the business world, especially, we're talking a lot about mindset, right? How do we get our mindset to help us, guide us along the way? But what I haven't seen too much is, you know, how do we ground ourselves? How do we embody the message that we want to convey? You know, if there's so many other books out there, we may shy away from expressing ourselves. We may say, okay, well, all these other books are addressing what I want to address. So how do I stand out? And the process that I go through with the authors are or is a way to get to the heart of what is your unique offering, and how do we narrow that down if you know it already, and are you able to map that out in a logical and compelling way that will prompt your readers to, you know, especially in the business world, your readers will become your ideal client. That's typically the goal of the transformational business book. So whether it's the book that you read or the Stephen King book or on Writing Well, Bird by Bird, there's so many. And I'm just another person who has found a way to get to the heart of the matter and embody your message. Embody, you know, it's sort of like walking the walk and not just talking the talk. You don't want to just say what other people are saying. Share your story, share your message, because that's of value.
Yeah. And, you know, beyond the ghostwriting and the editing and all of those things, it's important for you to be invested in that project, right? I would think that you want to kind of navigate that author who has a book in them and really kind of pull from, you know, I even look at it as though like we represent speakers, you know, with my company, and they're CEOs and executives, thought leaders. And we pull from their experience, from, you know, just their everything about the essence of who they are. So I would imagine for you too, you know, you have to really be invested in that book.
Right. Yeah. You know, that's one qualifier for who I want to work with. You know, are we aligned with the message that you want to put out there into the world? If we're not quite aligned, then I may not be on board, and it may not be a good fit. So we try to suss that out right from the beginning. A huge qualifier for me particularly is, do you want to inspire or instigate positive change in the world? You know, are you an instigator? Are you wanting to change the status quo, you know, for your industry or for your particular niche that you're in? You know, are you wanting to make a difference and make a positive change? That's where I align myself. And if you're able to convey, even if you don't like right off the bat think of it that way, if you're able to take a step back and say, you know what I'm doing matters, transform the readers' lives in a way, then that's where I can shine and help you or my clients in that way.
No, that is fantastic. And I'm curious, how does your purpose play a part in the success of the book?
Yeah. So I think I mentioned like aligning the purpose, aligning myself with the author is one way that we get on the same page. So, but your purpose, like, it's another way of saying you've been called to write this book. Maybe you've had this idea bouncing around in your head for years, or maybe you've had other people look at what you do and they're like, why aren't you writing a book?
Yeah, you need to write a book. There's a book in you.
Right.
Right?
So, yeah, there is.
Especially for experts, that have all the content and, they've written so much and, PowerPoints and, curriculums and everything. That could essentially become a book.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, if you're a speaker, you have the material already mapped out for your speeches, your talks. You may have blog posts already. You may have other material. You may have a draft of a book in the drawer that you've attempted. And you're like, I know this is something that I need to do, but I just don't know how to do it. So one way to recognize if you're on the right track is, are you aligning your purpose with the purpose of the book? Is your book idea aligned with your inner calling, your purpose? Is it aligned with the, if you are a founder of a business, a company, or even if you're just starting out, are you aligning all of your things that you want to do, whether it's a book, a business, a course, anything else? They all must be aligned. If you are aligned with your purpose, you can think of it as, are you listening to the inner voice, the one that is encouraging you, rather than telling you, that's a BS idea, or you're not good enough. That's your inner critic. That's not the voice that you want to listen to. You want to listen to a voice that is deeper than that. And like, if you need to like ground yourself, like, like being really rooted into your heart and in your true self, and say, what can I offer? And am I offering this for the good of humanity? Am I for the good of this particular segment? Am I offering it to empower people? That has to be the transformational type of business book that can truly propel your business, your message forward.
Well, and the credibility, when people take their expertise and they put it into a book, I mean, face it, there are thousands of books out there, a lot of bestsellers, there are, Amazon bestsellers, and really to write a book that has some grit and, I mean, just like you say, the essence, the purpose of the author. I would imagine that it's also important, and I have this a lot with my clients, where how do you promote the book? Once it's done and, it's, you've got the finished product. I mean, are you involved in some of the promotion of the book, or once you have that book done, you kind of, gracefully hand off that book and kind of put them in the direction of going to a publisher or, taking the next step?
Well, with ghostwriting and coaching, that the marketing and publishing is outside of that purview, but I have helped other authors with finding an agent. I found there was a founder of a place in Montreal who I found him the senior VP of a top New York agency for his book. So I have helped people in that process, and that is a way to get yourself out there. The traditional publishing route is more long-term. You have less control, but if it's something, like you mentioned credibility earlier, there is still some, credibility that comes with being traditionally published. But that doesn't necessarily mean that self-publishing, the stigma of self-publishing has gone away. You have more control over the process of
royalties and
out there.
Oh yeah, there's so much. Because really, essentially, if you're helping someone write a book, I mean, the whole objective is to get it out there. right? And to get it in the hands of readers. And
Right.
I think, the more people really invest their time in putting together a book that is going to be a bestseller, or, it's going to, like you said, it's going to help the world. It's going to really help people, with transformation or whatever that is. It would be really a good idea, for people to have some idea of how am I going to get this out there,
Right. And because I have that experience in, uh, whether it's traditional publishing or self-publishing, I have
Mhm.
people in my network that I've reached out to, marketers, book designers. I become the liaison between all the parties. So that has been a really good way to make sure that there's consistency throughout the process.
Yeah.
Even though I am not a marketer, what I do know about marketing and what you're offering as a unique, uh, purpose-driven, heart-centered book, even for your business, is that once you know that you have a unique offering,
Mhm.
selling proposition, like if you are grounded in your own true self, you are uh, there's no competition because it's so unique. It's so driven by your perspective, your experience,
Yeah.
maybe the experience that you have with your clients, if you're a coach, or if you're a speaker or business person who has clients. You can talk about those experiences in your book, and you can become an expert even by saying, this is my experience, and you can even reference other books that are out there. That's how you position yourself. You can say, these books are addressing XYZ, but there's like
Yeah.
there's a gap in between those items, and this is what this
Yeah.
book is all about. and
Mm.
and readers will want to read that book because they see those gaps there. That's why there are so many books.
Yeah, yeah. And we actually had a Facebook user. I put it up on the screen there. I'm not sure who it is, but thank you. We're getting purple hearts and waving. So whoever you are on Facebook, thank you so much for for tuning in. We definitely appreciate that. And another question that I have, Stanley. So if someone's been thinking about authoring a book for a while, or people keep telling them they should write a book, how do they get started?
Mm. Yeah, that can become an obstacle for a lot of people. Some people do start on their own, and I've worked with a number of people, and talked with even more people that they've just started. They don't really know how to go about writing a
Yeah,
book. They may have experience with blog posts or something like that, but a book is really a different animal.
it
Uh,
is.
and so to get started, it's really coming down to the purpose.
Mhm.
I talk about purpose so often, people may get tired of it, but if you want to succeed, purpose is really important. And so,
Yeah.
how do you tie that into getting started? You need to have an outline, and it's not
Yeah.
just like having one bullet for like a chapter title and call it done. That will not
Yeah.
help you. um, it will help you on a higher level, but getting really deep, and my tagline is the grounded writer, right? So like
Yeah.
getting grounded in and embodying, feeling into what am I really trying to say? I have
Yeah.
this idea. How do I map this out? And I've worked with a bunch of people already who just needed to get started. They just needed that kind of push into the swimming pool. Like they've just been like dipping their toe in the water. How do we get them swimming? Which is
Yeah.
ironically a really interesting analogy because I don't know how to swim, but
Oh, you don't? Oh my goodness.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
But the thing is, to get started is to really understand what makes your idea unique, and that can
Yeah.
really be uh, an obstacle just in itself, because they see the other books that are out there. They see, you know, they may have seen like 5, 10, 20 books that are talking about the same topic. So they're like, that can be discouraging, because they want to talk about the same thing and they want to enter that sphere. So getting started is really getting to the heart of like, what makes you unique? What is it that you can offer that those other books are not offering?
Yeah. And I would say too that, you know, one thing that I often ask people that have written books is, why'd you write the book? You know, what really moved you to where what's the why?
Yeah. That's the popular thing right now, is to say, what is the why? And it's true. Like, why does this matter to you? Just start there. Why is it important to you? Why do you see it benefiting others? You know, you want, you know, as a speaker, as a founder, coach, like you're in this position. Put yourself in this position, or maybe you've stumbled into this position somehow, but you are here now and you want to make a difference. You know, finding a way to clarify that in book form. The book form is much more powerful than a blog post, because you have the depth and breadth to explain why this is important, not just to you, but to others, as well as what difference are you trying to make? You know, this is the major point that a lot of people forget, because they see other people writing these books on that subject. They want to do the same thing. If you're not really grounded in your own truth, then what you write is just not going to be as powerful.
Yeah. That's such a great point. Such a great point. And I want to remind our audience, we are streaming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And we would love for you to subscribe to Luminary Leaders Live on YouTube. My guest today, who you see next to me, is Stanley Dankoski, and he is a actually a book coach. I was going to say a book writer, ghostwriter, and also an editor. And he is excited about just working with people who are looking to write a business book. And even if you just have an idea, right? And I know you have a masterclass coming up. So Stanley, before, you know, we get to the end of the show, tell us about your workshop.
Yes. So this is a great segue. So talking about purpose and what you need to get started, the masterclass is outlining your transformational business book. So in that masterclass, that will be 1 p.m. Eastern on September 13th.
So September 13th.
And it's a monthly masterclass, but I keep adjusting the content of it, and it gets better and better. It's really figuring out, how do we map out your purpose into the book? And there will be, this may sound really cryptic, but there will be story shapes, story, waves, spirals. Like it can get conceptually abstract, but then I bring it down again. I ground it into like how do we map out these shapes? And the shapes of stories, the shape of your message happens naturally throughout life. So how do we get into that process to make it a natural, organic process for you to write the book that you want?
Sounds very informative. And how do people sign up to register?
That is a great question. So I have a LinkedIn event. So if you find me on LinkedIn, just search for my name. There's a LinkedIn post in my previous activity. You can find that there. And you must register using the Calendly link.
Okay. So Calendly, so they go to LinkedIn, they look at your profile and look at the activity where the LinkedIn event is there, and then they just sign up on the Calendly link.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll make sure that that's in the show notes. So those people that are really wanting to participate, you'll want to make sure that you go to the Calendly link for September 13th, 1 p.m. Eastern, right?
Yes.
Stanley? Okay, great. Well, I wish you much success with your monthly master classes, with all of your book writing activity and things that you really enjoy doing. I'm certain that there are people out there that have books in them. And for those of you that really want to work with a book coach that can really get you to that next level with your process, and that's, that whatever that why is and that purpose, Stanley can certainly help you. So Stanley, I want to thank you for being on Luminary Leaders Live today. It's been fun. We met on LinkedIn. That's where we originally started. And, I just saw something in you that I thought, gosh, I need to have him on this show. So I really want to thank you for being here. And we want to thank our audience for tuning in. I know we're live again on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thanks, Stanley.
Thank you. It's been great.
Yeah.